Welcome to a special Personnel Committee meeting for January 17th. I'm Jen Ricketts-Swales. I'm the chair. I'd like to ask you to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next, we're going to have roll call.
Mrs. Ricketts-Swales.
Here.
Mr. Ricky.
Here.
Mrs. Burdick.
Here.
Mrs. Hanchett.
Here.
Mr. Havey.
Here.
Mrs. Root.
Here.
Mr. Rumfelt.
Here.
And Mr. Harris. 7 present.
First on our agenda is the 2024 insurance renewal quote. I'm going to ask Brenda Rigby, really, trying to get it right, clerk of the board, to help us with this discussion. Do I have a motion? I don't need one. Okay. Brenda?
Yes, in your packet is a MOE requesting a resolution accepting the insurance proposal by the Evans Insurance Agency from NYMER for the period February 1st, 2024 to February 1st, 2025. I'd like to take a moment to introduce Chase Tiascone, Vice President for the Evans Agency and our local representative. And if anybody has any questions or concerns, please let us know.
I think there was some discussion about employee, that was part of the discussion, right? It was about whether we needed more coverage for employee, I don't know, how did we term that in the email?
Yeah, so cybercrime coverage.
Okay.
I think what you're referencing, so last year.
Oh, can you put, yeah,
Sorry
turn the
about
mic
that.
on?
Sorry
Thank
about
you.
that. Thank you. So cybercrime coverage, I think, is what you're referencing. And last year, the county had elected to increase their cyber limits, but there was a sub-limit on the policy for $100,000, which would cover acts of crime. A good example would be if a county employee received an email from somebody at the county saying that they were changing bank accounts and they needed to update their direct deposit. And without going through the proper channels, they just reallocated those funds, but it was a fraudulent request. Those funds that were transferred out, there is a sub-limit on the current policy of $100,000. So the proposal for this year was to increase those sub-limits to $250,000.
Thank you. And Terry, I think you had some input into this as well? You thought we should go with the higher limit, right?
I did. I thought that was accurate, that we should probably go with the higher limit. If in the future we want to reduce that, I think we can, but at this point, I think it's worth going for. We had several instances where we stopped it, but it could have gone through very easily, so.
I can say it's probably the second most frequent cause of loss on cybercrime. It's not the most severe. Usually ransomware attacks and breaches are the most severe in terms of how much they pay out, but it's very common.
Gotcha. Are there any other questions? Mr. Healy?
Thank you. And I assume the administrator's recommending this, is that correct?
It is correct. I think the better coverage is the way to go.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Rumfeld to make a motion that we go ahead with that.
I just had a question quick.
Okay.
The increase was included in the budget, I assume?
Correct. Yeah. So the total difference in premium to increase those limits is roughly $6,200, but the MOE that you have in front of you includes the $250,000 limits. Yep.
Okay, Mr. Rumfeld,
Rumfeld to make the motion.
is there a second?
Hanchett will second.
Thank you. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes. Second on our agenda are referrals from committee. There is a referral in your packet to create 4 positions. And I had a question, so I do want to have you take note that there are 4 part-time positions, but there are only 2 that are going to be filled. Would anyone like to make a motion?
Root will make that motion.
Whoop. And Havy will second.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions or any discussion on these positions? This is for the sheriff's office.
I assume this is in the budget?
Good question. I'm
These
not,
is my-
particular titles are not in the budget. My understanding is that they had some cooks that they were not going to fill, or some part-time help with that. That was my understanding. I did not have direct conversation, but these exact titles are not in the budget.
Will they be created to be in the budget so that they're taken out of the right account?
I'm assuming they will be using the money that they had set aside for part-time cooks, but I do not know that for sure.
That's my assumption as well, that people are only qualified to be a cook after they have so much experience. And it's hard to recruit people that have that right amount of experience to hire them as a cook. Creating this title allows them to hire someone, get that experience in, and then they could become a cook. I don't believe it's their intention to hire these food service helpers and cooks all at once. I think it's one person. They'll start here and then hopefully graduate to cook in later years.
Thank you.
that's very helpful. Any other questions or discussion? If not, then all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Is there any old business? New business? Good for the order? If not, I'd like a motion to adjourn.
Madam Chairwoman, I'd like to make, since there's no other business to come before the Personnel Committee, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Ricky, second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Meeting's adjourned.